On a frozen field in Yorkshire, two armies, numbering perhaps 50,000 men, wait for the dawn. This is Palm Sunday, 1461, a holy day that will become a descent into hell. In a blinding snowstorm, an entire generation of Englishmen is about to clash for the crown. By sunset, this field will be a bloody meadow. Chroniclers will claim 28,000 men died here. This is the story of how that day became the largest, most brutal and bloodiest battle ever fought on English soil. This is the story of Towton. The wind howls from the south, a physical blow. The newly proclaimed King Edward IV, just 18 years old, squints into the grey wall of snow. He is a giant of a man, 6'4", but he is outnumbered. His men are freezing, and he is haunted by a single image, the memory of his father's head spiked on the gates of York, a paper crown placed on it in mockery by the Lancastrian Queen Margaret. This is not a war for a kingdom. This is a war of blood and revenge. Edward turns to his veteran commander, Lord Fauconberg. The order is given. The Yorkist line begins to move. They have marched north from London, a nation mobilized against itself. This is not a small, noble affair. It is a clash of perhaps 10% of England's fighting men. On the northern ridge, the Lancastrian army, commanded by the veteran Duke of Somerset, waits. They hold the high ground, their flanks secured by marshes and the steep, icy banks of a stream called the Cock Beck. It is a perfect defensive position, but it has a fatal, hidden flaw. A subtle ridge in the valley blocks their view of the enemy's deployment and of any reinforcements that might be approaching from the south. As the Yorkists deploy, the world turns grey. The wind from the south at their backs becomes a howl. The air thickens. Then the snow begins, not a gentle flurry, but a blinding horizontal blizzard that drives ice and sleet directly into the faces of the waiting Lancastrians. The Yorkist archers advance into the open ground. Their commander, Lord Fauconberg, is a master tactician, a veteran of the wars in France. He understands this blizzard. He knows it is not a curse, but a weapon. He watches the Lancastrian line, huddled on their high ground, a dark mass, barely visible. They are blinded. Fauconberg raises his hand. The command echoes down the line. A single, massive volley. Thousands of bowstrings sing out, a sound like a tearing sky. Carried by the fierce tailwind, the arrows fly farther than any man thought possible, plunging with deadly force into the dense, unseen Lancastrian ranks. The enemy is stung. They respond. Their own archers draw and loose, but they are shooting blind, firing into the teeth of a gale. Their arrows lose all momentum. They fall short, planting themselves harmlessly in the frozen, empty ground. And here, Fauconberg's genius reveals itself. The Lancastrian commander, Henry Beaufort, Duke of Somerset, cannot see that his arrows are failing. He believes he is in a deadly archery duel. He orders his men to keep shooting. For crucial minutes, the Lancastrians waste thousands of arrows, emptying their quivers into the snow. Fauconberg smiles. He gives his second order. His archers advance again. But they do not draw their own bows. They simply walk onto the field, pluck the thousands of unused Lancastrian arrows from the ground, and begin firing them back at their owners. On the ridge, the Duke of Somerset is furious. His army is being systematically destroyed by its own arrows. He has no choice. He must abandon his strong position. He orders a full-scale charge. The entire Lancastrian line lurches forward, a wave of 20,000 men, trudging up the slope, heads down against the snow, straight into the Yorkist arrow storm. And then, the two armies smash into each other. The world dissolves. It is no longer a battle of tactics. It is a meat grinder. 10 hours, the chroniclers will say, 10 hours of savage, close-quarters struggle. This is not the clean strike of a sword. It is the sickening, percussive impact of poleaxes and war hammers, the sound of metal crushing bone. For hours, neither side can break the other. The fate of England is being decided, yard by bloody yard. The snow turns to sleet. The light begins to fail. The Yorkist army, outnumbered from the start, is at its breaking point. Their line begins to buckle. Edward, fighting on foot alongside his men, roars for them to hold. But they are exhausted, their arms like lead, their resolve fading. The battle is balanced on a knife's edge. Then a new sound. Horns from the south. Fresh troops appear on the main road, emerging from the swirling snow. In the chaos, no one can tell whose they are. Are they Lancastrian reserves? Is this the end? Edward strains to see. And then the banner becomes visible. The banner of the Duke of Norfolk. The delayed Yorkist reinforcements have finally arrived. They were hidden from the Lancastrians by that same subtle ridge that had earlier shielded the archers. They are not just reinforcing the Yorkist line, they are smashing, fresh and furious, directly into the Lancastrian flank. The impact is catastrophic. The effect is psychological. The exhausted Lancastrian soldiers, who have fought for hours, see their flank crumble. They see the enemy re-energized. Their courage, which has held for so long, finally shatters. The line that had held for 10 hours disintegrates in 10 minutes. It is no longer a battle. It is the beginning of a rout. The collapse is sudden and absolute. But this is no orderly retreat. It is a panicked flight for survival. The Yorkists, enraged by the long, brutal fight and the memory of Wakefield's paper crown, are in no mood for mercy. The pursuit begins. The field behind them, later named the Bloody Meadow, becomes a scene of horrific slaughter. And now, the geography that had been a defensive strength now becomes a death trap. The main escape route is across the River Cock, a stream whose steep, icy banks had protected the Lancastrian flank. Now, in their panic, the fleeing soldiers slide down the slippery banks into the raging, freezing water. Hundreds, weighed down by armor, are dragged under and drown. Yorkist archers ride to the high vantage points above the river and shoot into the mass of struggling men below. A small bridge over the river collapses under the weight of the fugitives. So many bodies pile up in the narrow channel that they form a gruesome bridge of bodies. And other desperate survivors, mad with fear, scramble across the backs of their own dead comrades to escape. The hunt continues for miles, a merciless execution. As the blizzard finally subsides, the silence on the battlefield is absolute. The legend claims 28,000 men died, but modern history suggests a more sober, yet still staggering figure. Perhaps 10,000 men perished in a single day. It remains the bloodiest battle ever fought on English soil. Edward IV, his throne secured in blood, is crowned king. In 1996, a mass grave was uncovered. Forensic analysis revealed skulls shattered by hammers and faces sliced by swords, multiple brutal blows delivered to men who were already helpless. One skull, known as Towton 25, shows a massive blade wound bisecting the face, and another, deep cut to the back of the head. This is the physical proof of the no quarter order, the grim reality of vengeance. Towton was fought on Palm Sunday, a day meant to celebrate victory and sacrifice. For centuries after, the red-colored soil in the region was seen as a grim echo of the blood spilled. Towton stands as a monument to the terrible personal price of a crown. It teaches us that the most brutal conflicts are not fought over politics, but over memory. If you found this journey into the past compelling, please like this video and subscribe for more stories from the annals of history.